Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rang the bombs bursting in gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Welcome back to the Tim and Steve Show. I am Tim Beard. That's just me today. Steve's supposed to call in, but you'll just be stuck looking at this face and hat, of course. Yeah, he's supposed to call in shortly. He's on the road. He's headed out to Montana to bring Zeta to college. She's going to college out there, and yeah, so we obviously miss him. It's kind of tough to do the show by herself, of course. But Lydia is down on the Cape. She is with her friend Paige, and I have this picture that I'm going to put up. I'll put it up right now. I told her, if you watched the last 2 days, I'm like, hey, don't go in the water because there's sharks. And here she is. She's up to her neck in the water. So kids just don't listen. So trying to think. Yesterday, I worked at the land a little bit. Got a nice cut on my arm, trying to take a window out. Thing broke, came down, cut it pretty good, but making progress there. Garden's looking pretty good. Trying to take care of Steve's garden, which is really nerve-wracking because he has a really nice big garden, and if someone messes it up, it'll fall on my shoulders. But should be all right. It's supposed to get rain today, even though it's not raining right now. But yeah, other than that, it's a beautiful Wednesday morning right now. Weather, it feels nice out there. Was expecting to wake up to some rain this morning because they said it was going to rain all day today and tonight, which the gardens could definitely use it. Our wells could definitely use it. But now it's looking like maybe later on this afternoon. Steve said he would give us a call here in a few minutes. One of the things I wanted to mention again is the Apple Pie Festival. They're giving away free backpacks at the SAU. They have 250 of them, plus school supplies and books for kids from preschool to 12th grade. So take advantage of this. It's from 9 to 3 on the 27th. So not this weekend, but next weekend. Backpacks are expensive. Everything's expensive. Here's a good opportunity to take advantage of it. And please do. We definitely want to see all these 250 backpacks go to parents in town for their children this year. It's super important. One thing I saw out of the school was, unfortunately, this year there's going to be no varsity soccer because there's just not enough kids. I believe like 6 signed up. They have to have at least 11. So that's unfortunate, but Caleb Godwin's going to coach the middle school boys team and work on that group, see if he can get that group to become strong players as they go up to the varsity level, and I'm sure he'll step up then and coach. And also, we talked about this yesterday, and I've never heard of this before, and this is the second one, I guess, but Richard's School Annual Cleanup Day. We welcome all community members to join us for our second annual cleanup day, back to school cleanup day. It's Thursday, August 18th, so tomorrow from 9 to 3. I'm not sure what it entails, but if you're available during that time and want to kind of help out, that would be a good opportunity to get in. You probably see the school too, and I don't know what exactly you'll be cleaning, but I know Stevens is up working on the playground right now, getting that all ready for the school year, which is coming right up. Looks like new wood shavings are going down. They're making some changes because preschool is going to be at Richards this year. So a bunch of changes going on there. So yeah, if that's something you're interested in, you don't got anything to do tomorrow between 9 and 3 or any point during that period of time, swing up to Richards, and I'm sure they'd love to help you jump in there and yeah, help them out. I don't know if you're cleaning. I don't know if you're raking. I don't know exactly what you're doing, but it'll be definitely beneficial. And as we always say, farmers market, 3 to 6 on Fridays. Yesterday I got 3 nice sized cucumbers out of the garden and some cherry tomatoes, which Andrea loves. So, and shout out to her because she's been one of the shows. I think it was Monday. I mentioned how Lydia had helped me with a lot of stuff, and I didn't mention Andrea. That she has been weeding the garden and doing a lot up there. I haven't been able to do quite as much because I've been trying to move dirt so I get the slab ready for our house, and so I wanted to make sure I mention her that she's been a huge help in weeding the garden and trying to keep that at bay while I do other things. And then, of course, if we get the rain today, like they say we're going to, we're probably going to get a lot of weeds that will come up. So it helps the garden in the rain, but it also gets the weeds to jump up, and then you have to deal with that. Today, the background I'm going to use is a really awesome picture I saw yesterday from Sam Nelson. He shared it. He works at the school. His parents own Beaver Pond Farm over on John Stark Highway in towards Claremont, and he took this picture. Him and his wife, I believe, are camping, and so I want to give him credit. We threw that up, and some of the pictures this week I've taken off of like WMUR and stuff, and I didn't give those people credit, but that's where they came from. So trying to get more local to New Hampshire pictures when available, and I saw this one that Sam took, and I was like, this is a really nice picture, so we'll use that as our background. If you take any pictures out there that you'd like to share and we could throw on our background, please email them to us at timandsteveshownh@gmail.com. Anything, once a sunset, if it's could be your garden or something project you did that you're proud of, or anything like that would fit, that we could use, that would be local, that would fit to the show, or even if it's not local. If you listen in your Steve's family in Texas, if you have a picture from your backyard, we would love to put it up, or Nikki's family in New York, or any other listeners anywhere. We'd love to have anyone send in pictures. Like I said, timandsteveshownh@gmail. Send us a picture and say, hey, this is taken here, and would love to put it up on our background. And then, yeah, this Sunday is the last concert on the Common for the year. JJ's Music, which is really good. I know him. He's really good with a guitar, and he's quite the singer. And I assume that's what he's just going to be doing the whole time. It'd probably be him. So I'll probably definitely check that one out, because, like I said, he's really good, and he is trying to think, Andrea's dad's cousin, I believe it is, which, I mean, be her cousin too. But so check that out. 6 to 8 on the Common. It's the last one. Hopefully the weather will be nice, and enjoy that, because this kind of is a sign of like the end of summer already, which is crazy. Trying to think else what I have for local stuff. Obviously sports have started up now. I talked to Jeff Miller yesterday about getting him back in here to talk some sports like once a week. Now is obviously the time. Things are starting to pick back up at the school. He's on vacation. I think he leaves today for vacation for a week, and he'll be back. So I would say the time we get Steve back, we'll get Jeff Miller in here to talk some sports and talk some school stuff. It's always great to have Jeff in, and it's looks like the snack shack might not, or it's not just snack shack, but the tower at the school might not get up in time for the football season, which is unfortunate, obviously, for us. But they'll figure it out. The Valleys is doing the build-in. Someone donated the concrete and all that stuff, so that's great. And once it gets up, it'll look really nice. And in the meantime, they'll figure out how they can announce games and do everything. So, and also, if you have any students out there that haven't signed up for fall sports and they want to do it, whether it's field hockey, soccer, football. I'm trying to think those are the only three. Golf was another one. I think there's even a bass team this year for fishing. Reach out because I know some of the teams are a little short. I know the middle school girls team was short on some people. They really could use more. And also the boys, I think, was pretty close to. They had enough for a team, but not. They really need some more, so they had some subs. So if you have a student or a child out there that you're like, hey, you know what, you really need to get off the couch and off the video games or the phone and get out and participate in something, this is a great opportunity to, get into a team sport. And yeah, it's a good time. I look forward to the football games and soccer and all that good stuff, and that's coming up. I think the first scrimmage is actually this weekend for the varsity football team, so that will be good. We'll do the meme of the day, which fits us very, very well. So me checking my electric bill, please don't be high, and here's the electric bill. There's a little Snoop Dogg, as high as it can get right there. Craziness as everything goes up, your taxes are going up. Please also check out your tax bill. They've reassessed. Allegedly, some people's tax bill went down, but it was like 89% of the people's bill went up, or it was an 89% increase in their property values and stuff. And so if you look at your bill and it looks like you're going to be paying a lot more taxes like Steve is, reach out because there's only a couple days window to talk to the company that did the assessment so that you can say, hey, this is way off, like Steve's bill, which is way off. His increase is like $3,800, which is insane, like completely insane. His property is not worth what they said it was. So if yours is similar or, a couple $100 increase, okay, it is what it is, sure. But if yours is, a couple $1,000s or something that's crazy, you should definitely reach out to them because it's hard enough to afford food, gas, the electric bill, especially the electric bill that's now doubled. Gas is doubled, and now if they're adding more expense to you, that's a tough thing to swallow. When in theory, the reassessment was supposed to be to change the tax rate, to reassess everyone so that if your property here was similar to property across town and they were paying $100,000 less than you, that you guys would equal out, whether they went up 50, dropped yours 50, whatever. But kind of seems like maybe, I don't know, didn't seem to happen that way. Like Steve said yesterday on the show, if you go on realtor.com, whatever, and look up places comparable, which is how they usually do. So if you list your house, they'll try to find something similar. This is what these people are asking. We think we can get that for your property. Didn't seem to really happen in his scenario. So, yeah, let's try to call Steve. I don't know why he didn't. I told him give me a call and he didn't call me. All he's doing is driving. It's such a simple thing, right? All right, one ringy dingy.
Hello.
You didn't answer your text. I said, give me a call in 2 minutes. It's been 11, so I figured I'd call you.
Well, I don't know what's going on. Connect where it's stealing everything and government's tracking my location now. But it's not giving me my notifications.
Ah, interesting. Where are you guys now?
We're in Indiana? The crossroads of America, allegedly.
Wow, you're in Indiana.
Yeah.
You made it far yesterday then?
Yeah, we made it past Toledo, Ohio.
Yep.
And then today our big stop is the Jolly Green Giant Statue Park in Minnesota somewhere.
So you plan on getting to Minnesota today?
Oh, yeah.
You're cranking, man. How many hours did you drive yesterday?
I was about 9 hours, 10 hours. It got pretty rough, though. My co-pilot fell asleep on me.
Yeah.
And then, 18-wheelers came out of nowhere with all kinds of lights. There was construction going on. Then I was like, oh, God, man, I need to get a hotel. So for 20 minutes, I kept trying to wake her up politely. Then finally, I just nudged her. And I was like, oh, you're awake. And she found us. Because, in Ohio, the turnpike is I think he's wanting me to take the lead here, but I'm gonna get behind him. I'm gonna nestle in behind I got a bandit in front of me. I'm following, and he slowed down and got in the right hand lane. So I think it's my turn to be the bandit. But since I'm talking to you, I don't have the peripheral vision. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about? How you slingshot each other on the open roads.
Yeah, trying to do some NASCAR stuff here.
Yeah, well, but you know what I mean. Like somebody leads the way for a certain number of miles, and then they kind of like drift over, then somebody else takes over, and you get a little line going. You've never done that?
Sometimes. Usually I'm the guy that's driving a little faster and just kind of in the left lane. And
So you're always the bandit?
yeah, probably ours, the bandit. Until you see a Smokey, then you're like, whoa, better slow down. I'm going to get in trouble here.
Well, I got Waze going today. Yesterday I used the Jeep's native thing, and it was kind of horrible. It kept trying to, I think it was like reroute me maybe to beat traffic, but it didn't really explain it or give you an option like Waze does. So today I hooked up to Android Connect, so it just pulls up my apps on my phone.
Yep.
But I must not have given him permission to access my messages. So there's probably something I got to hit because I kept having Zeta check to see when you wanted me to call in. So are we on the show right now?
We're on the show right now.
Nice. So I guess, have you talked about the bad news for the boys soccer team?
I did. I just mentioned a few minutes ago that they didn't have enough players. So Caleb is going to go down and coach middle school and hopefully build that program up this year so that hopefully next year they'll have what they need to jump back up to the high school level. It's unfortunate. You have less and less kids now playing sports overall. And so I just mentioned to our listeners, if you have any students at home that are just sitting on the couch on their phone playing video games, something you want to really give them a little nudge out there to do more active things. There's soccer, there's football, and there's golf. There's a bass team, I believe, this year too, or fishing. Well, they're fishing for bass, but you can catch any fish, I guess. So that'd be a good opportunity to do that. And there's still a little bit of time to sign up. Things are just barely started this week, so.
Yeah, it's disappointing about the soccer team. My thoughts on it, and I've always said this, and they teach it to you at West Point, but and I can't remember who the quote's from. It's probably like MacArthur maybe, or Eisenhower, one of those guys. But it's basically on the fields of friendly strife or sowing the seeds, and on other days, on other battlefields, whatever, lead to victory, something along those lines. And so I've always, before I even learned that quote and had to memorize it, which I just poorly recited it, by the way, but you get the gist that, the competition and the camaraderie, the leadership, the followership, the winning and losing that you learn playing sports, on top of the fact that it just helps you to get in shape as well, and, maintaining physical fitness, because in this day and age, a lot of people don't put a lot of emphasis on physical fitness, which is surprising to me with all the, diseases going around and illnesses, that one of the best things you can do is eat healthy, be in shape. And it's just disappointing that we don't have enough young boys, men, whatever you want to call the students, but to sign up, because it's a great opportunity. And in soccer, you get in shape. You run like 5 to 7 miles, during the game.
Right. It's a very active sport, and and it's weird because when we were in school, it was a lot of physical fitness, right? They put PE was a very important thing.
Right. You had the presidential fitness,
and it just now it's, I don't know. I mean, if anything, we should be pushing this harder than ever before, and now all of a sudden it's just like kids don't want to do it. Well, sometimes they need an incentive then. Like, I mean, I don't always want to get out of bed in the morning and do the show or go to work or, but you got to do what you got to do. So.
And Caleb's a good man. He's a good coach.
He is.
He's a positive influence on the community. He's put it out there. He could coach probably at other places. But, it goes back to that whole Newport is Newport. Like that's the specialness of our town, is slowly eroding away, I feel like, with every passing day. they're like, we're losing a little bit of things. And granted, this might just be a lull, but then, you got to switch to JV before you can do varsity. So we're 2 years out now from at least having a varsity team. So
Yeah, it's tough. It's crazy. It's unfortunate because it's not just soccer, which has kind of been an up and down thing in Newport. I think all the sports have, at least every season, one of the groups is like, we're short here, we're short there. And you just have so many less kids, I think, playing sports. Yeah, it's unfortunate because it's such an important thing. It teaches you so many life lessons. And nowadays, a lot of kids just don't want to put in the hard work. And that's a setback,
The dean or the president of Zetas College, they have their part of their orientation before classes begin later. I guess that'd be next week, where they have 350 different clubs and organizations that you could join for extracurricular activities. And even in that message, it said, it's a proven fact that those who are involved with extracurricular activities or a club graduate on time and they have higher GPAs. Because, you have people that are relying on you, and it gives you a goal and a purpose outside of just going to school day in and day out. Because if you look at it like that, then school can become tedious. But, and some kids might regret not being more involved and getting in shape and, learning how to run. Because maybe some of these, kids don't even know how to run properly. But, it's just all kinds of opportunities out there, and it helps you academically. And then, just seeing that, just on top of everything else, just reminded me I just wanted to say that if anybody cares about what Steve Morris thinks, it's, extracurricular activities are can be positive, and have a good impact.
Right.
Between, like you said, we said it before, physical, mental, and, just academically help you out. So if anybody's listening out there and you got kids or grandkids and they're, wanting to sit on the couch and play video games or watch YouTube videos, encourage them to spend a couple extra hours a day outside in the sun exercising. I mean, we have a good football program. Golf team is looking to expand. I'm sure they need more golfers. So anyway, there's opportunities out there, and dead animal. Just disheartening.
It is. It definitely is, and hopefully we can kind of get back to pushing kids to get involved, even if it's not sports, but get them involved in different clubs or whatever's going on that just gets
and pushing physical fitness, man.
Yes.
Physical health helps with your overall just, you feel better, you have more energy, you can fight off illnesses and diseases a lot better if you're in shape. Even outside of the school, just going out and doing a 10-minute brisk walk every day will do so much more for your health. Sometimes I think people, there's a magic pill for everything, and sometimes the magic is just going outside and walking around.
Yeah.
Build that garden or, push mow your lawn every once in a while or something. Just get out there and get some exercise. And, a lot of people our age do that anyway, but for the younger kids, that, if the parents are working, they just come home and plop down, maybe. Not all, but, there's some.
Yeah, we've gotten so far away from the things we used to do because of technology and phones and whatever.
Right, well, they celebrate obesity now, which,
right.
I'm not one to fat shame. When I was younger, I was a jerk. I probably would have when I was younger. But, you just need to encourage everybody. Like, being obese is not a good thing. I'm pretty sure that whatever my weight is today, I might be on the obese factor. I'm not going to take it personally if my doctor looks at me and says, hey, you need to lose 10 pounds.
Right.
According to the BMI or whatever. Like, they develop these things because they have statistics that show, being healthy, having a healthy height-weight ratio, is good for your overall well-being. So it has nothing to do with, how you got there, what's going on in your life now, but what are you doing today and tomorrow about it? That's all. Like,
no.
Somebody can say I'm fat shaming, but I wouldn't do that. My goal would just be that you live a longer and healthier life.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's been proven. I mean, look at COVID, if you will. was it 80%, that had 4 underlying conditions, and most of those were, one of the conditions was obesity, because
Yeah.
overall our whole country is massively overweight. And I mean, I'm
Which
overweight,
goes
you know.
which goes back to my recent try to get rid of the high fructose corn syrup out of my life. And I'm sure somebody could fact check me, and the corn growers association would tell me me that I'm there's nothing wrong with it. But I don't know. Remember, we were talking about it a week or two ago. You sent me the difference between
Yes.
the foods that we buy here versus the foods that are sold in the EU, and all of it. The main difference was high fructose corn syrup versus regular. I mean, sugar is bad if it's not in moderation, but high fructose corn syrup seems to be the additional thing that because the whole stereotype of the fat, lazy American, and that just kind of highlights it, right? Just on those 6 products that you sent, which are common products that we all consume if we live the normal American life, breakfast cereals and drinks and everything else. So cut back on the high fructose. Oh, shit. He's telling me that there's police ahead, and I'm still slightly above the speed limit, just barely. I'll coaster on in here.
Yeah, so I was just trying to find out when you're talking. So McDonald's fries, French fries in the U.S., potatoes, veggie oil, canola, corn, soybean, hydrogenated soy oil, natural beef flavor. So then so whatever that might be they're using there.
Yeah, whatever gland they're secreting that
exactly.
beef flavor.
But they have dextrose, sodium acid, phosphate, salt, fried and vegetable oil blend with citric acid and dice of something or other. But then in the UK, it's vegetable oil, which is usually sunflower or rapeseed, dextrose, and fried in non-hydrogenic vegetable oil and salt added after cooking. So it's like, and that was just one of the examples. There's so many different ones on here that I had, like the Quaker instant oatmeal packets. The U.S. has a list twice as long, or a little over twice as long as what the UK. The UK was just Quaker whole grain oat, sugar, freeze dried raspberries pieces, freeze dried strawberry pieces, and natural flavoring. But the American one is whole grain oat, sugar, creaming agent, and then there's all these, malatoxin, sunflower and palm oils, sodium caseinate, flavored and colored fruit pieces or dehydrated apples treated with sodium sulfate, artificial strawberry flavor, citric acid, red 40, salt, warm gum, artificial flavor, citric acid, all this stuff I can't even read, unfortunately.
Yeah, you can't even pronounce it, and we're putting it in our bodies.
Right. And I'm pretty sure that red 40 has been something that's been talked about as not good. So, yeah, get out.
Yeah,
exercise.
So they got to dye the freeze-dried raspberries, or what?
Yeah.
They're dyeing them, I guess, right? That's what it's got to be, is to dye the fruit.
Yeah, and then just throwing in a bunch of fake flavoring, and I don't know. It's just crazy. I mean, just insane. Like, you just want to make food. And I was talking to my friend Linda yesterday. I was like, so much of what's happening, I think, in the country is that if you looked at the food we eat, if you took away all this bad food that we eat, and I'm not saying that they take it away, but we stop eating this bad food, and you eat more natural food, just in overall energy level, people would drastically change because, they're dumbing down America through our schools, through our food, so you're lazy, you don't want to do things. Like, it's insane.
Right.
And it's happening.
Yeah, you get this. We can see it, and we're just as guilty as everybody else. I'm not,
absolutely,
you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely. I'm not.
I'll eat me a good bowl of Quaker maple sugar, brown sugar. Like, but at the end of the day, I probably need to just buy some Bob's Mills ground oats, put my own, some brown sugar in there. If the brown sugar doesn't have a lot of stuff in it,
right?
And then some maple syrup from one of the farms that we get it, locally.
Exactly.
Everybody should.
Get your oats, make your oats, which you can buy their oatmeal and just make their, you know, you have your dry oatmeal, you make it, and then put your own stuff in it, and then that cuts out all the chemicals that you don't need in your body. It's crazy. We got to start paying attention to what the hell's happening in our country and our bodies and our lives, and stop looking the other way, because it's going to start to
this
really
guy
affect us.
is sending it on my rear end here.
How many lane highway are you on now? 2, 3, 4?
I'm on 90, man. Once we hit New York, it's 90 the whole way.
Oh, okay. So is it 2 lanes, or is it wide now as you go?
Yeah, it's 2 lanes. It's 2 lanes, but this guy, I don't know where he came from, but you know, the bandit I'm following is making pretty good time, but this guy obviously wants to take over. So as soon as I get past these 18-wheelers, I'm gonna let this guy go. He's in a rush.
Yeah, I like when I travel. I like 3-lane highways because there's so many more options that you can kind of be in the middle, which is kind of the lane that the normal traffic drives, and you got the tractor trails usually on the right, and then you have the real fast speeders in the left. But there's options, so you don't get stuck behind people. When you get it like on 95, and when it turns to 2 lanes, it's like, man, this is, now I have to, like, you know, you'll have that one guy in the left lane that drives slow and just like doesn't care, and I'm like, oh, come on, man.
They forget that that's for passing.
Right. And trust me, I'm guilty of riding in the left lane, but usually if someone pulls up behind me, I'm like, oh, and I'll pull over because I'm like, you know, I'm holding up.
Yeah, like that guy came out of nowhere because I had just checked to see if, you know, what it was looking like, because we were passing some 18-wheelers, and then,
right.
I mean, he's gone. He's probably going 85 miles per hour, which is,
that's crazy.
20, or no. Well, I guess the speed limit's 70, so he's going about 15 over.
He's still going, yeah. So did you see that Liz Cheney lost in her primary?
I did see that. So
I think that's hilarious.
The Cheney dynasty, the Bush dynasty, they're all defeated this year.
As they should be.
Because Bush family had somebody, I think, running in Texas, and they lost their primary. And then she lost. So that's good. Get those I have experience with the whole military industrial complex from the sense of, being deployed and having contractors come in and replace my soldiers. And, they're making 4 or 5 times the amount of what my soldiers were making doing the same job. And then, soldiers are held more accountable, at least in my experience.
Right.
Than those contractors, which, the Cheney family is deeply connected to those, allegedly. So, I don't know. I have my own personal thoughts on it, which, I'm glad that she lost because, we always talk about it, no matter which party it is, like, you need to get rid of these 40, 35-year serving people who are millionaires that have only ever worked for the government. And not that she falls in that category, but her family's been, living off the government, basically. That's their primary source of income, I would imagine, I'm assuming, I might be wrong, is from, their connections, and then those businesses getting contracts.
Yeah,
at least with her dad, anyway, with his KBR connections.
The Bush and Cheney's had huge, invade Iraq, destroy.
Yeah, they've been influencing our politics since, I don't know, the 60s.
Yeah, I mean, because Bush Senior was was he?
CIA director,
CIA,
whatever.
He was vice president for Reagan, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they've been around forever, and Liz she had 3 terms, so 6 years, because she was in the House, and she was one of the ones that voted to impeach Trump. Went after Trump January 6th. Basically, says that she's trying to uphold the Constitution, which we know is a bunch of BS because the whole January 6th thing's a sham. There's just one side. There's no defense. There's nothing.
Well, there are people though that see that totally different than you or I probably see the January 6th thing. Like they see that as an insurrection, which that's what the mainstream media says. And, you can go out there and watch all the videotape of it. You can do research on who's filming and who they're working for and who they're affiliated with. And, my take on it from what I've seen and read and watched, and, 'cause you can watch a video about just about the whole. Not everything's been released, but there's a lot of video out there that you can watch. And if you go into it with an objective, what's going on here, what you see is the, the doors being opened from the inside allegedly because they're magnetically sealed, which takes allegedly 10,000 pounds of pressure or whatever. And, so anyway, I just look at that whole thing differently, and I see it as mainly to keep Trump from running again. Take it for what you will. That's just my personal opinion. That whole committee is making more out of, and I'm not saying, all of them marching down to the Capitol, whatever. I mean, we all have freedom of association and free speech. Once they went in and they crossed the barriers, because most of them, I don't know if most, but some of them stayed within the walking ropes that most people could usually have. That whenever you go visit, there's barriers to keep visitors from crossing into places they really shouldn't be.
Right.
Which I would argue that, that's our capital as citizens. So really we should be able to, schedule appointments and go wherever you need to go. But anyway, I just have a different take on it than what everybody who watches and listens to the news is thinking. Because I took a screenshot. I meant to send it to you of some MSNBC article, and it was just, you know what I mean? It's just, it's not the reality that I see anyway. And we've talked about that before, is like, how do I see it this way and other people see it another way? It's just perspective, I guess, and what you want to believe, and then, where you're getting your news from. That's what it all boils down to.
Yeah.
But I'm not that's not an insurrection by history standards. I'll just say that. That's accurate.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not. I mean, and I'd love to know the actual number of people that went into the Capitol that day versus the thousands that were outside of the Capitol. And I literally watched it all on C-SPAN as it happened live, and the police let him in. The police literally...
Yeah, I think there's a video of them, like, waving to people.
Yeah, they moved they're not barricades, but it kind of reminds me of bike racks. Those metal little, they're supposed to be barricades, but yeah, they're just like a little deterrent,
Yeah, it's like for most people, it's like, all right, I don't cross that. That's where my limit is if they want me to.
But,
respect.
The Capitol Police moved that, and the thing that's not being discussed that should be being discussed, that if this supposed insurrection happened as they try to portray it did, then why is Pelosi not held responsible? Because she's the one responsible for security in the Capitol. And nope, we don't hear nothing about her, though, do we? It's just about Trump.
Well, my biggest thing also is like they're having this, investigation or committee, whatever, hearings, but then they only are going one way. There's no one asking the questions like you just said. Like, well, what about the troops that Trump is alleging that he asked for or recommended that they have? Like, is that true? And why did you turn that down? Like,
exactly.
If they turned it down because they thought, well, it'll be a peaceful protest, blah, 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 like, at least say something. You know what I mean? But like, they don't look at it from both sides. It's a one-sided thing. And if you're a fair person, regardless of your political affiliations that you tie yourself to, if you look at it fairly, yeah, you'll see like, all right, these guys acted ridiculous. They probably, need to have consequences for their actions. But these guys did not, and they're being, they're like political prisoners. That's one narrative that's out there that a lot of people don't subscribe to. And I do. I feel like some of those, because they went and they tried to tour the jail there, and they wouldn't even let them in there at the beginning. And then the conditions are just horrible. It's proof again that we're slowly or rapidly, however you look at it, turning into a banana republic. It's my take on it. Like, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed that our tax dollars are being sent overseas when there's so much stuff going on at home that could be addressed. Like,
right.
Some of these roads that I've been on could be repaired pretty, some of that money. Like,
so Biden signed the Inflation Reduction Act yesterday.
The Build Back Better.
Build Back Better from the people that have never built anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we're going to spend another $700 and something billion. That's going to do nothing for inflation. It's going to cause more inflation, of course, because we're in the situation.
Well, yeah, we were talking about it, and it looked like it was like 300 billion, like, you know,
it's all
that
climate
accounted for. But it's 100 billion extra that, like, they're over budget by like 100 billion on that. Like that the stuff doesn't add up. So
yeah, and then someone said on Facebook the other day, like, if you buy an electric car, you own an electric car, there are tax incentives, and one was like up to 7,500 and whatever. I literally read a story from like, and it could have been from like the Associated Press or something, so it wasn't anything right leaning or anything, and it literally said that this next year there's like a little teeny amount of cars that qualify for that, but then as the thing goes forward, and then the next year after that, like, no U.S. cars will qualify for it because it has to be like 40% of the cars manufactured like with minerals.
yeah, that's right. I saw that.
Yes.
And it's like almost impossible to get a car like that. And if you do, it's probably outside of mine and your price range.
Right. You're gonna buy what, a $300,000 car for a $7,500 rebate? Like, woohoo! So it's just more smoke and mirrors. They're spending money that they don't have. That's our money, and they just don't care. They're so out of touch with reality down there. It's insane. So did you see that? Remember how the Department of Justice was like, yeah, we're gonna unseal the warrant for the whole thing with Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Well, now all of a sudden the DOJ is asking a judge to keep it sealed to preserve the ongoing investigation, which I find interesting because whatever the ongoing investigation is, having a sealed warrant doesn't make any sense. If you were there for classified information, which you said you were, or, you know, rumor is, then what's the big deal? Or did you get caught with your pants down again, breaking the law, being the KGB, and now you don't know a way out of it?
Hey, so this is just a theory, and some people say that we're peddling conspiracy theories, but there is a theory out there that because Trump declassified the whole Russiagate, whatever, that there's documents that allegedly were in that, you know, storage area, whatever, that are declassified, but that implicate, you know, some of the agencies or agents or whatever in the Russiagate thing, and they don't want that getting released for us to be able to see the truth, exactly what went on, because this isn't a conspiracy, and everybody keeps acting like Trump's a Russian agent still, like, because that was put on the news for 2 years, but it's been debunked. Like, it's in the main media, you know, it's in the mainstream media that, all right, well, we got it wrong with the whole Russia collusion thing, but it's obvious that Trump is an outsider. That doesn't necessarily mean he's good or anything, but because he's not part of their, you know, political gangs or whatever you want to call them, groups, associations, that he brings everything to the forefront for all of us to see just exactly what our government's doing, like the crisis at the border where, you know, kids are allegedly put in cages. You know, that didn't start under Trump, but it became visible under Trump because everybody despises Trump so much. They, you know, put all this dirt out there that the government's doing, but it's really not Trump. It's just that's how our government's operated, and it just became visible. And, you know, and it kind of goes with, did you see how the CBS News anchor insinuated that Trump lied about them taking his passports? Did you see that whole little
I did.
thing?
And then
she had one source that said it, and then she played it off like, well, he made it imply that they seized it and they accidentally took it. Well, they took it. So what he said, like, you might not have liked his word, which you know, from my perspective, in hindsight, if she wanted to correct herself, a more appropriate would be Trump is accusing them of seizing them. They have it on authority, and, oh, by the way, get more than one source, because that's CBS's policy, by the way. That's not Stephen's take on it.
Yeah, and then to come to find out,
we accidentally took it. We've returned it. I can see how he thinks he seized it, but it was in this box, and, you know, whatever. But it just making it, it's just a smear against him, which, if you're a contrarian, that just makes you like him. You know, like
Yeah, the more
like
the more the
maybe not the words that he uses and his approach, because he doesn't have the finesse of a politician. How we're used to them up there painting everything with flowery roses and everything else. But yeah, it's like, well, he's doing something right, because at least we're finding out everything that our government's doing poorly.
Yeah, and
Or
the more the government goes after him, the more I like him, because they wouldn't be going after him if it wasn't because he was going to bring them down for the crimes they've committed. Like, and yeah, I know he's a jerk. He's this. He's
yeah,
that. I know.
he may not personally bring them down, but he's bringing it to the forefront, because
Right.
they hate him so much. They go and find all this stuff, and then you do the research and you find out, well, this has been going on for 20 years.
Exactly.
Like, like that's not, it's not Trump. It's the government and the bureaucracy and that kind of stuff that's allowing this stuff to happen. Because I saw it when I worked for the government. I would move in and be at a job for 2 or 3 years, and then the bureaucrats that are in place that, are civilian workers that never leave. It's like, you're only here for 3 years. We're not changing this. It's always been like this. And it's like, well, no, you are going to change it, because I'm in charge and I have the authority and responsibility. So, change stinks, just like your buddy was saying the other night. People don't like change. Well, the people who don't like change the most, in my experience, in the government are the bureaucrats. It's not, you know what I mean? Like, they don't want to change because they've been doing it for 10 or 15 years. Like, there was a form, like, this is on the military side, that as an HR professional, I'm like, they have the format wrong on this. And so I called and I said, hey, your format's wrong. I got called up to Big Army and was like, your format's wrong on this, that you're using as an example for everybody to use. Like, it's a circular form. Like, it never leaves this organization the way that you have it written. And they're like, sir, it's just the way it's always been done. Just fill it out. And I'm like, well, no, I'm not going to get my boss to sign something that I know is wrong. And they're like, well, it's always been like this. I don't care. You've made a mistake. The mistake needs to be corrected. Let me talk to whoever's in charge of you. You know what I mean? Like, you got to keep calling up and highlighting until you get to the right person that's like, yeah, this is wrong. We need to fix this. It's a 10-minute fix. But people get set in their ways and they don't want to fix anything. They don't want to change. And just, that's what Hunter was saying the other night, is that people don't like change. Well, the bureaucrats don't like change, and he's a bureaucrat. So as much as he acts like he hates bureaucracy more than anyone else, he swims in it, he lives in it, he operates in it. So he may not like it, but he understands it better than most people. So he should also want to alleviate as much bureaucracy as he can. And with the FAA thing, he just signed us up for the grand poobah of bureaucracy when it comes to aviation, I would suspect. Be my, uneducated yet educated opinion from my experience with the government. So anyway, that's my take on
exactly. And the thing the thing that got me on that whole thing, that it pissed me off, was people don't like change. And I'm like, this isn't about change. You're adding value to my property, then taxing me more money so that I have to work harder to feed into your projects or whatever you want to do here, not just support my community, not like, okay, I got to pay more money because it's going to school. Okay. It's not that. It's more than that. It's so much more than that. So for him to be like, oh, we don't like change. No, I might not like change. So if you change the Newport school mascot from a tiger to a chihuahua, yeah, I don't like change and I don't want to see that. But this is my taxes you're talking about. And then for you to say, oh, the silver lining is your property's worth more, so you actually have more value than you thought you did. And I'm like, no.
Yeah, that's such
dumbass.
a garbage line. That was so uneducated, and like, that's such a politician bureaucrat response. Like, you have a duty to make sure that our stuff is correct. And number one, you didn't even send out the form correctly, and I don't understand why Paul Brown is writing that form for that business. Like, why isn't that business that we contracted sending out those forms? You know what I mean? So
right. Well, they sent him out
because he took responsibility for that, which maybe he is responsible, but I hold them and that contract responsible for that, not him. Like, why is he? Because didn't it have their? Was it from the town of Newport? That letter, or was it from Avatar Associates?
That I
It might have been from the town of Newport, so maybe it was Paul Brown. But at the end of the day, we paid them a lot of money to get things correct, and I'm pretty sure mine is incorrect.
Oh yeah, I mean the formula was off. He said it was off, but the thing is,
I mean, people with houses twice the size of mine have $1,000 increase, and I have a $3,800 increase. Come on,
yeah, something's not right.
I might have more property. The property's not getting my bill up that high. It's not the property.
Yeah, and for them to say property's worth so much, I don't understand either, because there's tons of property around here anyways, but you can't afford to build on it. So even if you bought it because it's priced higher, which, like I said, it doesn't make sense. Property's not worth what you're saying it's worth. You couldn't afford to build on it anyways. So okay, I go buy an acre for 30 grand, so I way overpay for that. But now I need 200,000 to build a little house. And
like my house hasn't been updated since the 90s. Right. You know what I mean? Like I need a new bathroom, I need a new kitchen. I probably need my septic probably needs to be overhauled. You know, I'm not on city water. Like all these types of things, and it's like, do they even take this into account?
No, like, they literally. Barry Connell said, who's a selectman, they drove up his driveway, they said hi to him, and they left. That's it. They don't go in your house, they don't do any of that, because this is a statistic assessment from what Bert Spalding said, senior, so that they don't do that. And I'm like, wait, so Steve, if you drive up in your house, yeah, it looks really nice. You have a nice house. You have a driveway that's paved. I mean, but that doesn't mean your property's worth $750,000.
Yeah, I know.
You have 2 bathrooms in your house, and you have, like, you don't need, I mean, I've got 3 bathrooms in my house. And my house is smaller, but, like, and you have a garage. Right. You have a beautiful garage not attached to your house where we have our studio upstairs. But that doesn't make your property worth $750,000.
No, not anywhere near it. So
crazy.
I have Nikki pulling up the appraisal, you know, because we just bought the house 3 years ago, which, you know, the whole point was my dream location in the middle of nowhere, no neighbors nearby. I have a pond, everything else. That's just, and I could afford that with my retirement. Right? Like, so I could afford the mortgage with my retirement pay. Now you're adding $300 into my escrow every month, probably close to $400, truth be told, if it goes up to $21, and that's assessments that they have right now. So now you've priced me out. And by the way, I'm not going to be able to sell it. So, and I was watching, did Hunter say that he would buy our houses off of us, that the town would? Because I will go with that assessment and have him cut me a check when I get back. And I'll just take that money and I'll go buy an RV and I'll roam across the country like the Incredible Hulk did back in the 70s and early 80s.
He did say that. He did say that. And I said something to Barry after the meeting about that because, you know.
No, I'll trust me, if they don't correct my evaluation, I will be going and with that clip, and I'll be asking for my $726,000 check from the town of Newport because, you know, I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, he's going to make that statement. He's going to have to hold up to it. Like, that wasn't a flippant remark. That was, if it's that bad, then, you know, bring your assessment and the town will buy it off of you. Okay.
Yeah.
But he might be getting called out by me and maybe some others that got overassessed because they did a statistical analysis, which I can't sell my house for that much. It's just not possible. Now, you know, I'm going to do my research, and, you know, I think we have the phone calls on Monday. And so anyway, I'll make sure Nikki has make sure they have all the square footage, you know, and everything else, because they might have some wrong information, because when we bought the house, they had it listed at like a ridiculous amount of square footage, which is not true.
Yeah, your house isn't that big. I mean, you have.
I mean, it might fix itself, but if it doesn't,
right.
I'll be going and getting that $250,000 from the town of Newport.
Yeah, I like to see that.
It's just that simple, right?
All right, Hunter, put your freaking money where your mouth is.
Did I lose him?
No, I'm here. Can you hear me?
It says you're still on.
I hear you.
Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Hello.
Hello. Steven.
Tim.
I hear you.
Oh, there you are. There you are.
I could hear
You could hear me.
I could hear the whole time.
Hey, it makes for good entertainment.
I know technology is so wonderful, isn't it? So yesterday, I didn't. Well, I should have got into this more. I guess I had Lydia on the show, and but there's a 14-year-old girl in foster care records a video of a Child Protective Services employee telling her that she should become a prostitute, and this is in Texas. And do you remember when Alex Jones was on trial and the prosecutor was trying to, go after him because he was talking about the judge?
Yeah, being involved with the CPS there in Texas, and CPS in Texas having a bad reputation of child trafficking.
Yep. So I have the video from the trial, that I cut a little bit so that it will fit our show and there's not a lot of wasted space in there for stuff that I don't care about, no one else cares about. And then I have a clip, it's actually the news clip from Houston, Fox, whatever, that talks about it and shows the video of this woman doing the same thing. So as crazy as maybe Alex Jones is, but maybe he just comes off that crazy because he's seen so many things that people don't pay attention to, that it's just like almost like it's gotten to him, I mean, if you saw everything that people are saying is not true and you can prove it, over time you're going to kind of like get frustrated by that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like that movie that you had us watch that had Leonardo DiCaprio that said, there's a meteor coming and she's like jumping up and down, like, and everyone's like, no, it's not. Oh my God, she's so dumb. She's just lying and whatever. And then sure enough, the meteor hits the earth and that's the end. So
Don't Look Up is what it's called.
Don't Look Up.
Netflix, I think.
Yes.
It highlights because he's like, why don't you care? She's like, this isn't that type of show. We're upbeat and
right.
But really, man, we're all gonna die.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, they just play it off. Like, we don't want to get everybody in a panic. We don't want everybody to know the truth. It's like, don't we deserve the truth?
Exactly. So it's like today in real time. Just it's not a meteor. It's something else. But
right. Exactly. It's something's not right with CPS in Texas, and well, you're a conspiracy theorist by name, Alex Jones. There's no truth to that. That's just your opinion. And granted, this is one example, but I think if I read correctly, they ever said kids as young as 9 were being just put in a hotel up to a month by themselves. Like, how safe is that?
Yeah, they said they have all kinds of kids in hotels, and yeah. So I want to have everyone watch this clip that, like I said, I took the trial where he's questioned on things, and then I took this news clip. And check this out real quick. Watch this, and then we'll come back and talk about that for a few minutes.
So that's why the judge is rigging the court proceeding to make sure that the script, this is literally a script gets told in a certain way for future audiences.
That man's name is Robert Barnes?
Yes.
Okay. That's InfoWars?
Yes.
He was hosting your show on the 29th?
Yes.
Well, you were on the show for part of the 29th, right? You were in the courtroom part of it, on your show part of it.
I believe so.
Okay. And Mr. Barnes, he's a frequent anchor on InfoWars?
He's been a frequent guest for about 6 years or so.
He's also represented you in this case as an attorney?
Yes.
Okay. You say, Mr. Jones, that you're taking these court proceedings seriously. You're approaching them in good faith. But the truth of the matter is, you've been broadcasting repeatedly a picture of our judge on fire, haven't you?
Objection compound, Your Honor.
No.
You have to wait till the court rules.
Oh.
Overruled. There was a statement and then a question.
Mr. Jones, I'm going to hand you what I've marked as Plaintiff's Exhibit 129. That's from your show, isn't it?
That's Justice on Fire.
Huh, okay. That's from your show, isn't it?
Yes, I haven't seen this.
And you've been running this video repeatedly, haven't you?
No, I've not been there all the time.
You haven't been there a lot of the time. You've been there every day this last week, haven't you? Every single day.
No, I taped some of the shows. No, I've been there today.
Your Honor, I'd like to move 129 into evidence.
Is this impeachment evidence? Is this I'm not exactly sure what Mr. Bankston wants to do with.
I think he wants to impeach Mr. Jones with it.
Does he want to introduce it? Is it just to show to the jury, or does he want it to
No, I
go
think
into evidence?
I'm first moving to
moved
admit
it
it as
into
evidence.
evidence. He's moving that it be accepted into evidence. Do you have an objection?
Yes, Your Honor.
What is the legal objection?
401, 403.
Can I see it, please?
Yes, you may, Your Honor.
Plaintiff's 129 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Can you display 129? Do you have the ability? The person on the left of this image is our judge, correct?
Yes.
The person on the right is another judge you don't like, right?
Yes.
Okay. One of the things you can take that down. One of the things you've been talking about a lot recently on your show, even within the past couple months, is your allegation that government officials are aiding in pedophilia, child trafficking, and the grooming of children, right?
You mean like what Jeffrey Epstein did with the Clintons?
Sure, if that's a yes, is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. And on Thursday, you and InfoWars started connecting those allegations to our judge, didn't you?
No.
In fact, Mr. Jones, you're telling the world not to believe what happens in this courtroom because the judge worked with Child Protective Services, who you say is involved with pedophilia and child trafficking, correct?
Not all of it, but it's the Texas Youth Commission got caught doing it a lot. There's been a lot of that here.
I'm not asking you that, Mr. Jones. I'm asking you, you're telling the world not to believe what's happened in this trial because this judge is involved with CPS, who is working with child traffickers and pedophilia.
Overruled.
Judge Maya Gamble comes from CPS, who has been exposed for human trafficking and working with pedophiles.
And we begin tonight with a story that you'll only see here on Fox. An employee with Child Protective Services is caught on camera telling a 14-year-old girl in foster care to become a prostitute.
That's right, and this girl is one of hundreds of kids in CPS custody living in hotels all over the state. Fox 26's Randy Wallace live from Southwest Houston here with this story. Randy, the exclusive.
Yeah, Jonathan. Now, earlier this year, a federal judge scorned Child Protective Services for making kids available for prostitution in the CPS system. Now we have a case where an employee with that state agency is actually encouraging prostitution of a 14-year-old child.
Don't be a hoe, be a real hoe.
Wouldn't they remove a child from a parent that told their child to be a prostitute?
They should. And they would.
Keisha Basley has 9 kids. She turned to Child Protective Services to help her with her 14-year-old daughter, who she says was running away and causing trouble at school.
My daughter told me that the worker had been telling her that she should do these things. So she said she decided to video her. Please.
CPS is housing the girl at a hotel. She's one of dozens in Harris County. In the video, she tells the CPS employee she wants food. The CPS worker tells her to be a prostitute. I mean, she was basically encouraging a 14-year-old girl to become a prostitute.
And giving her an incentive to do so, and almost a threat of not having her needs being met if she didn't do what this woman very explicitly told her to do.
If me, the parent, was to do something like this to my child, I would be bashed. I would be called a horrible parent. I would lose my kids. Get your tail to that room.
Basley filed a formal complaint with CPS.
This should not happen to girls in their care. This should not happen. This is unacceptable.
Jamie Masters, the commissioner of CPS, came to Houston to personally apologize to Basley and her daughter.
I've never seen that happen before, where a commissioner of CPS comes in from Austin just to apologize about something that's horrible that's been done to a child and a parent involved with CPS.
I do not believe that that was genuine. I really don't.
It's bad enough if it's one rogue caseworker. It concerns me that it may be bigger than that, and they need to investigate this and make sure that it's not just one person, and they've got to figure out a way to protect these kids.
CPS sent us the following prepared statement. DFPS is aware of the video and has taken action. The person in the video, who was employed as CPS support staff, was dismissed from her position August 10th. The safety and appropriateness with which children in care must be treated is our paramount concern. Nothing less will be tolerated. Reporting live from the Southwest side, Randy Wallace, Fox 2016.
Yeah, that's an interesting clip. So like I said, I don't. He said like in Sandy Hook was fake and all that, and I'm not going to get into that because obviously to those parents, it sure the hell wasn't fake. And I mean, I know there's some things with Sandy Hook that don't add up, and that's what this whole trial is about. So I don't know why they necessarily put Alex Jones on trial for this stuff, because it's not relevant.
Well, that was part of his. They were trying to show his character, that he's sitting there besmirching this unbesmirchable judge,
right?
And so like they were trying to show it's just part of his character that no one's above Alex Jones and whatever. I can't remember the name of his channel or his program.
InfoWars, yeah.
InfoWars, like InfoWars will go after even this, high upstanding citizen judge and accusing the CPS that does all these great things, and yet we're supposed to take him seriously when while he's on trial, he's sitting here selling bad information. And granted, like I said, that's one instance, right? But that they have on tape.
Right.
But what else is going on, right? It begs the question, what are we doing? Why aren't we taking care of children, man? That's our future. Even if it's not our own child, like I can't fathom saying that to anyone ever.
I know.
And like, what kind of, you're supposed to be a social worker who cares and is kind and trying to find something great so these kids can reach their potential, and you're just like, I'm becoming a prostitute. Like, what the heck?
I know. And so I tried to look into this a little bit to make sure the judge did actually have something to do with, with CPS and all that. And so what I found is, in this, I just took this paragraph out of this clip about her. It was, it's no surprise to find then that Gamble, an Austin native, as a longtime trial judge specializing in child protective services before elected judge for the 459th Civil District Court in 2018. And as attorney, she used her voice to speak for those who are often often spoken over. And once she ran for judge, she prioritized protecting the most vulnerable in her campaign. And now you're finding that's just one story from CPS in Texas about this lady telling, well, you should just become a prostitute. And obviously Jones is saying that there's lots of these cases, and this is a judge that overlooked a lot of these cases. So it's not hard to... Now, was she directly responsible for sex trafficking and all this? No clue. I don't see nothing on it, and I didn't look very hard, but...
Yeah, you're not claiming that. That's just... But you're just saying that the organization she's involved with, that she champions, is out there telling her 14-year-olds to become prostitutes.
Exactly. So you can't write off everything Alex Jones says or his show says.
All right. Well, there's a little bit of truth in everything. And there's a rabbit hole. You could look into CPS across the nation as a conspiracy or a rabbit hole to go down, and you'll find some disconcerting examples. It may not be, I'm not trying to smear all of CPS or DCYF, any of that kind of stuff, but there are bad actors in every facet of society. You know what I mean? So, like, that at the end of the day, you can't discount. Like, not everything is good and proper and roses. You got to look and find the underbelly, and then you got to cut it out, man. You got to weed out the bad. You got to pull out the bad weeds. That's what you got to do, and I think that's what this shows, is that yes, we hope and we want the most vulnerable to be protected, but you'll find bad people everywhere, and you can't just write off. Well, no, they're a good person. They went to this school. They go to this church. Well, yeah, that's you find that out about everybody at the end of the day, that nobody ever would have suspected it. And I'm not talking about the judge here. I'm just talking about bad actors in all facets, right? Like, just.
I mean, look at Epstein.
They're out there.
Look at Epstein and all that, and then, I don't know if you saw the story, but the FBI supposedly rescued like 200 children or victims of sex trafficking.
Human trafficking.
Yeah, human trafficking, and which is convenient, because they're in the news for, corruption and or alleged corruption with the whole Mar-a-Lago thing and all that, and then all of a sudden, oh look, we rescued these people, and it's like, okay, but what about Epstein and his people? What happened here? Just curious. Like,
yeah, where's the client list?
Where's the client list? Why are these high-profile people like Bill Clinton not in handcuffs?
Above the law? Yeah, they're above the law.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it? Did you also see that? Do you see the Anne? How was there? Anne? She just died. Hesh. Did you see?
She passed away.
She did. From
that car accident.
Yes,
or the car.
It was a car accident that caught on fire. Yeah. So, yeah, she died at 53, and then someone was saying that she was working on a documentary about like sex trafficking and different things.
Yeah, I saw that she was working on that.
So that's interesting, isn't it? Someone else.
Yeah, that's sad. I didn't know that she passed away.
Yeah. Just interesting that someone else that was working on something related to that.
And then, it's similar. That was the same day that one nurse went through that intersection, right, at 100 miles per hour.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's the same day, but I saw that. That was nuts.
It was like similar, like, cars blowing up. I'm not purporting anything there. I'm just saying, I remember there were 2 car accidents, at least within 24 hours. It sounded horrible.
Yeah, I watched that video. That was, oh man, that was just horrible, crazy. But all right, well, you stay safe out on the road today, and send me some pictures so we can put those up on the show tomorrow, or if you send me some shortly, I can put them on today. But yeah, we'll touch base tomorrow, and we'll see what else I find to talk about, and yeah. All
right, well, we're cruising on nicely here through Indiana. I'm at mile marker 72 now since we've been talking. So
nice.
Making some good headway.
Good deal. All right, Steve. We will.
All right, Tim. Good talking to you.
We'll talk to you on the show tomorrow.
All right.
Bye. That was Steve Morris on the road as he's heading to Montana with Zeta to bring her to college, and he's actually made it further than I thought. He left early yesterday morning, and when we talked to him on the show yesterday, it was just kind of edge of Vermont into New York, and it's 6 hours across New York on 90 to get through Ohio, and so he's making pretty good speed. So I wanted to wait until he was off the picture I decided to use today for his while he's talking, the picture you've been seeing. I didn't tell him about this picture. This is a picture I took of him, and like I said, you've already seen it, but him and his little, when we bought the capes and stuff for the 5K we did for charity, in the cape that he had bought came that little mask, and I snapped that picture of him, and so he, unless he watches the show, will never know that I used that for his picture. It's just kind of funny. Yeah, the only other last little thing I want to talk about on here, because it just fits with the rest of the stuff that we talked about today, was a licensed professional counselor and sex therapist describes pedophiles as marginalized and a vilified group, and prefers the term minor attracted persons. So it just shows that these, I don't even know what you call them anymore. You can't even call them leftists. I don't know. These insane people that are running our country and then are in positions of authority or power, or a counselor's authority over someone, right? You go to them for help, and you have this particular person, and there's many more that, believe that the term should be minor attracted person. So it shouldn't be illegal. It should just be, this is what they're attracted to. So this group of people is trying to make pedophilia just a normal thing. It's okay. So, and by doing that, of course, if you could successfully sell that on the American public, then Epstein's list won't matter anymore, right? Because, well, they're just minor attracted people. It's disgusting. It's unbelievable the direction in which this country is headed. And somebody needs to start to wake up and say, enough's enough. We're not going to do this. You're going after our kids in schools. You're going after our kids everywhere. And then you try to sell it as it's, censorship, banning books. No, I'm sorry, but there's certain books not appropriate for kindergartners, and sexualized books are not appropriate for kindergartners. That is not banning books. That is just age-appropriate information. Thus, I use the example a lot of times, if you took a Playboy magazine into a kindergarten class and like, hey, look at all these nude women, that would get you in a lot of trouble. Most likely, you would go to jail if you were this licensed nurse, or this licensed counselor, sex therapist. You probably would be fine, of course, because the standards are different for different people. Justice is no longer blind and balanced like it's supposed to be in this country. But reach out to your senators, your Congress people, whether it's at the state level or the ones that represent you in Washington, especially those ones, and tell them how displeased you are with everything happening in this country right now. The fact that they just signed this Inflation Reduction Act, which we all know is not going to do anything. It's just his Build Back Better plan at a smaller level. They're all a bunch of sellouts. They don't care about you and me. They don't care that we can't pay our taxes as it is, and we have to just decide between, well, do you want to eat this month? Do you want your light bill that's now doubled? Do you want to heat your house this winter? They don't care as long as you drive an electric car, and they'll feel good at their fancy dinners while they eat their, $1,000 lunches at their little soirees that they have at their golf clubs or at their whatever, pedo islands. Epstein back into the case, of course. They don't care about you and me. If they cared about you and me, they would make rules, they would do things that would help you and me. How about going after electric rates, saying, well, you can't charge 112% because that's ridiculous. That's not, what kind of increase is that? If I came out today and I sold you cheeseburgers and I said, yeah, tomorrow it's going to be 112% more, nobody would buy my cheeseburger. But because it's electric and you have no choice, you either have no lights, no refrigeration, no AC in the summer, none of that, or what? You have no choice. So you have to pay that. Oh, get solar. So go spend $35,000 on solar, which will never pay for itself because the batteries will be junk by the time, I believe they say 8 or 9 years. You have to get new ones. The cost of that is astronomical. They're screwing us over and over and over again. We have to start to stand up for ourselves and say, no, we're done with this. These monopolies and all this that these big companies have, that they establish all these antitrust laws, all these anti-monopoly laws so long ago, but now apparently it's okay to have these monopolies as long as the government's getting a cut out of it, as the little guy, me and you, get screwed every day. So positive meme of the day. So try to finish up the show with something positive. And just kind of goes this too, is Ronald Reagan, if we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. And that is so true, that this is the last place on earth that truly has freedom, as loose of a word that now is, because our freedoms are drastically changing, and it seems like every day we're losing freedom a little here, a little there. It's a constant thing, right? They constantly take something. They go after your First Amendment, they go after your Second Amendment, they implement things that will make it so you never can get ahead, as the ruling class is always able to skate through everything, and they seem to profit from all our suffering, and that just doesn't seem right, not in the United States. So really think about some of the stuff on the show today, and remember, once you lose freedom, it's gone forever. They're not going to give it back to you. It's never, ever going to happen. It doesn't. Read history. It doesn't happen. So thank you so much for watching the show. Sorry, it's just me. A little better when Steve's on, of course, but can't wait to have him back here in the studio. Hopefully the end of next week he'll be back, and we'll get back to the normal show. But once again, Sam Nelson for the picture. It was pretty sweet. If you have any pictures out there that you'd like to send in, use as a background, Tim and Steve Show, nh@gmail. Would love to put something up. And also Twin State Paving, thank you for sponsoring the show. You've been a great sponsor right from the beginning of when we started this. This is show 70, believe it or not. It's pretty crazy. So if I don't see you around town, I will talk to you tomorrow.